to show you how to complete the AE initial report. So with this patient that we have here, the initial report was generated because of an abnormal blood result, but I'll also show you how you can generate your own AE report if there is something else that has happened. So perhaps there is a specific symptom, vomiting, diarrhea, or some kind of syndrome which wouldn't be triggered by a lab result. And that would be done by clicking on Click Add Action Linked PRN. Submit AE initial report. So this means that you can trigger that process whenever you like. And all you need to do is just say, this is a new AE report. I'm just going to open that. And then you'll see when I go back to the dashboard, I've got two alerts here. One is because of my abnormal blood result, and then another one is one that I've generated. So there's nothing populated in that description yet. So first of all, let me show you how you can fill in this one. AE initial report for the potassium. You get taken to the AE initial report form. You're asked to classify that AE. So there's a list of common adverse events. So hypokalemia is in there. You can also have an other. And at the moment, this form shows the patient's treatment regimen, although this is likely to change. And it pre-populated, it tells me which treatment regimen the patient is in. I need to describe the adverse event, so that could just be grade 4 hypokalemia. When I was aware of it, when it actually started, so it might be that perhaps the blood test was sent yesterday, which means that it started yesterday as far as I know, but it took a day for the result to come back. So essentially this would be when the result came back, and this is when the blood test was taken. I need to grade the AE. Grade 3 is severe, grade 4 is life-threatening, and so that may be determined by a description of the symptoms or by a specific laboratory parameter, and this will always trigger an SAE, and then grade 5 would be death. So let's go for grade 4, life-threatening, because that's the case. All of these AEs are technically classed as severe because they're grade 3 and above, so the answer here is always severe. Is the incident related to the patient involvement in the study? And this is essentially when the researcher needs to determine whether or not they think this could be a side effect of one of the medications. So let's say, for instance, that I'll tick yes. This patient is not in the ambisome arm, so it can't be related to ambisome. Unlikely related to fluconazole, but probably related to amphotericin B. Unlikely related to flucytosine. Details of the last implicated drug, name, dose, route. So I can just say IV amphotericin 50 milligrams given daily for the last 3 days. Date and time of last implicated study medication administered. Let's say I've just given that now. And has a reason other than the specified study drug been identified as the cause of the events? So let's say here possibly yes, and that could be vomiting. So what's the action taken for the treatment of AE? IV fluids and potassium. Monitoring daily of potassium level. It also will ask me, was the AE recurrence of symptoms, and this will trigger a separate CRF, and is the event an SAE? So all grade 4 adverse events are SAEs in this study, so the answer to that is yes. Now, if you tick yes to this being an SAE, and you obviously need to put the reason for that, so let's say this is medically important event, this itself, by ticking yes to 22, will trigger the trial management group review. And we'll talk about that later. Is this a SUSAR? No. And then save the form. As you know, there's lots of validation here. So we'll say that the relationship to ambisome is not applicable. And then you'll see that what's happened here on my alert bar is I've been asked to submit a follow-up report for the grade 4 hypokalemia. And this isn't something that I need to do immediately. It might just actually only be updated once when I close the AE, but it will also alert you, the researcher, that there's a TMG report pending for this grade 4 hypokalemia because it was deemed to be an SAE, and that's because it was a grade 4 adverse event.